let's talk a little bit about a net. Nets are a two-dimensional shape that can be folded or created to make the surface or the outside of a three-dimensional solid. So if I have a cube, I can unfold it, and what I come up with, the unfoldedness, is my net. For example, the right, here we go, is a net for a tetrahedron. Tetrahedron is just a fancy name for this shape right there. You don't have to memorize that, it's just a fun word. You can fold the net along the dashed lines. So anytime you see those dashed lines, that means you're folding it. So you can kind of see right here, these little triangles will flip up and they'll all come to a point, and that's what it looks like. Now, whenever you see a little dashed line like this kind of behind, that means that that's our way of showing a three-dimensional shape on two-dimensional paper. So this dashed line right here is technically that little side that's behind these other two. Nets are a great way to help us work with three-dimensional shapes, especially when we're dealing with surface area. Now, some people who are not very spatial in their thinking, they're more like number crunchers, they can have a really tough time with nets. And some people who are really good with thinking about shapes in their head, they find nets very easy. So if you find nets rather difficult, don't worry about it. Your brain just might not be wired that way, but keep at it because you can get better at them. Let's take a look at example. We're gonna label each of these four nets down here with which of these three shapes they correspond to. Now, you don't have to remember some of these, like this is a triangular prism, a cone, kind of like maybe some cones that you've seen out in the parking lot. Here's that tetrahedron, it's made up of triangles, and a cube, just like, rolling a dice. Go ahead and pause the video and see which of these nets goes with each of these shapes. Some of you probably found this very easy. The easiest way I can think of it as like this one, there's a circle. So one of these sides of the three-dimensional solid is gonna be a circle. Well, obviously the only one that has a circle is the cone. And you can see how like on this one, this side right here is gonna connect with this one right here. So if I kind of like this part will match up with this part. And this part right here will match up or click with that part, and you get your cone. Here I have these kind of triangles. There are the triangles right there. Here I have all of the triangles that are the same. They're equivalent, they're similar or equal, congruent, and you can see all those little congruent triangles there. Let's go ahead and do the next example. This is gonna help us figure out how this net will fold up. This is gonna be a cube. Which face or which side is going to be opposite of the face marked C? So here is side C, which is going to be opposite. So that'd be opposite like this or on top and bottom. Ooh, well, let's see. Some of you will figure this out right away. This one, this face is gonna flip up. So it's going to be connected to it. It won't be opposite. These two faces are also going to flip up. So it can't be any of those because they're actually connected to it. So it's either going to be E or D. Well, E, as you can see, this side of E, this edge, is actually going to connect with this edge right here. And it's actually going to come here and connect up to C. So E and C are actually connected, so it can't be E. That means that D is actually going, if this is the bottom, D will actually flip up and be the top, so it'll be across from it. We deal with cubes a lot, so let's go ahead and try to find all of the cubes that cannot be folded into a cube. That means that you might have pieces that overlap, or you'll have a hole in it, but they won't make an actual cube. Let's see if you can figure out, pause the video and see if you can figure out which ones cannot be folded into a cube. So here are our two nets that will not work. All of these other ones will make a cube. There's actually quite a few different nets that form cubes. This one right here, if this is my bottom, I'm gonna label it B for bottom. These two will form a side, and these two will actually overlap. I'll have two tops. This one will be a side over here, and I won't have any side over here, so that's why that one won't make one. Here again, these four will kind of form the outer, this part of it, but then these ones will form this side, and I won't have like a bottom side over here. All of the rest of them, if you kind of imagine them, they will form a cube. So it's great to stretch our brain, especially you non-spatial thinkers, to try to figure out how things will fold up in your head. It stretches your brain and helps you think more spatially.